According to a recent report from Raw Story, where they actually had the chance to catch up with multiple Democratic members of the U.S. House of Representatives, there's some concern among Democrats that Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson is going to somehow, some way cause some chaos this coming January 6th. Now, these concerns are valid, right? Mike Johnson came out recently, was asked by a reporter, will you certify the election results? And instead of just giving a blanket, yes, we will, he said, of course we will. If we believe the election was fair, if we believe it was accurate, if, there's no evidence of so-called cheating and all of these, if it meets every criteria that I have personally, then sure, we'll do it. Of course we'll do it, he says. And then, of course, during last week's vice presidential debate, J.D. Vance refused to say whether or not Trump lost the 2020 election. Then he came out a few days later and said, no, Trump didn't lose. So Democrats have a right to be worried here. In fact, here's a couple of the quotes. This is from Democratic Representative Steve Cohen. Raw Story asked, have you thought much about January 6, 2025? Cohen says, yep. Do you fear if Johnson's in the chair that day? Raw Story asked. He said, it won't be good, but I think we'll have a new speaker by then. And that is true. And that is something to keep in mind, folks. January 6, 2025, we will have a different Congress in power. Now, it may be the same Republicans have the majority, or Democrats could have the majority. We could have more Republican seats. We could have more Democratic seats. We will be saying goodbye to some good members of Congress. We'll be saying hello to new members of Congress. It's going to be a different crop of people for the most part. So we don't know who's going to be in charge on January 6th. So that, of course, is a big question mark. But Jamie Raskin, Raw Story caught up with him and said, are you worried about a Bush v. Gore redux? And Raskin said, quote, Democrats have two main objectives. One is to go out and win the election, and the second is to defend the election, he says. Then, of course, Democratic Representative Zoe Lofgren said, talking about the fact that critics fear that Trump and Johnson could cause some chaos on January 6th. And she said, it's obviously delusional for them to push falsehoods about the election. Well, let's just say the law is clear, and I'm prepared to vote to certify the winner, whomever it is. And then Raw Story says, what you swore an oath to do. And Lofgren responded and said, that's exactly right. And that is exactly right. Because I think a lot of people miss the part, because January 6, 2021, we saw Republicans standing up and trying to object to election results based on these, fraudulent claims of voter fraud. But it is the duty of elected members of Congress to certify these election results. Whether you're happy with the outcome or not happy about the outcome, literally doesn't matter. You swore an oath to the Constitution, and the Constitution requires Congress to do these things, such as certifying the election results. You don't get to just pick and choose which parts of the Constitution you're going to adhere to. This is your job, and you have to do it. And if we're going to enter another era, just like we did after the 2020 election, where you have all of these individuals out there spreading lies about voter fraud and casting doubt on our election systems, that's going to do several things. First and foremost, it could delay the democratic process here in the United States. And notice that I said delay, not deny it. Because at the end of the day, states have safeguards to prevent massive voter fraud. They have safeguards to help catch voter fraud before they, the individual states, certify their votes. So right off the bat, we know that the states are doing everything they can do to prevent voter fraud. And over the years, they've been very good at it. That's why voter fraud is very uncommon in the United States. So once the states certify their votes, which is also, by the way, their duty, it is the duty of the election officials, it is the duty of the people working the polls. They don't get the option to just say, no, you know what? I don't like this ballot. I'm going to throw it out. Their job is to count the ballots, to certify the ballots, to send them off to the state where they then get certified by the state legislatures. They have to do their jobs. They cannot inject emotion into this. They cannot inject their partisan politics into it. Voting, even though we vote partisanly, the act of voting and the process of securing the votes and certifying the votes is a non-partisan activity. So that's number one. Number two, another part of what Congress has to do here is make sure that everything is correct. And they do that by checking with the states. Now, in 2020, or 2021, technically January 6th, we saw these members of Congress stand up and say, no, we don't like the votes from this state. But the state told them, these are the votes, these are the electors, everything is fine. So Congress has to accept what the states tell them. They do not get to cast doubt on it. And when they cast that doubt, as I said, that's the delay. But at the end of the day, they cannot deny this democratic process that we have here in this country. There are safeguards, there are guardrails along the way. So we don't need any more lies casting doubt on our electoral system. It's a pretty good system. Is it perfect? Not yet. Is it as close to perfect as it can be? Yes, it is. And it's going very well, regardless of what the naysayers have to tell you. Hi, everyone. This here is little Athena. And Athena would like to know why you haven't subscribed to Fair and Balanced yet. So please, don't let Athena down. Subscribe today.